Alright, what is up everybody? It's gonna be kind of a short video, but in this video I'm just gonna talk about how to basically gain levels quickly for people who are pretty low level, because as you can see I am max level and pretty much, I mean there's probably plenty of other people who've made stuff about this, but anyways, um, in my personal opinion, the fastest way you can gain levels is through quests. Um, because what I do is that obviously you have your main quest, which gives you a huge chunk of XP, but obviously sometimes you're gate locked at a certain quest depending on obviously how far you are into your progress. But um, all you gotta do basically is just obviously run every dungeon you see, especially if you're lower level. Obviously dungeons are gonna be the easier way because sometimes certain quests will be harder to do. But if you're at a point where you are able to do most of the quests easily, you just do daily and weekly quests, and then you do specific ones that are like obviously these aren't necessarily that bad. I mean, obviously not this one because you're not gonna be able to do that one for a while. But for like things like swarm control, it's like you just need one raid basically to get the stuff. But things like killing enemies just like a large amount, like mass suppression or just arising the shadows, and then things like killing the brutes. Like those are ones that you're able to do basically simultaneously at the same time. So it's like those are the easier ones to do quickly. And then also with the new thing they did add the whole more quests. You can also, if you save up enough tickets, you can get that as well. So that way you have more quests to do. So that way you get a wider selection, and you just basically reset them as you keep doing tickets. Because if you're doing both, where you're running dungeons for tickets, or you also have Infinite Desert to get tickets as well, depending on how far you can get into it. Um, but me personally, because was I got to level 200 off of the main quests alone, and then after that I just started spamming the weekly and daily quests. So I got from like 200, and then I eventually managed to get to 300 after a while. It is a hefty ticket grind because the amount of tickets you're using. But if you're constantly running dungeons with it as well, it's not really detrimental. Because if you're only waiting for just like G and N rank dungeons for XP, and then you're waiting for it to be a red gate, double dungeon, it does take a while longer for you to get through levels. So I just do it just to run through every single dungeon because they all give you tickets. Even if some of them may not be a lot, you're still getting tickets, and then you're also getting some XP out of it. So I would just constantly run them, just back to back to back, and then once I had a decent amount of tickets, I would go through, reset whichever quest, run through the quest, and basically repeat the process. Because it's like the fastest way to get through them. You could always just you do get XP from some of the raids. So like the winter raid, the Dedu raid, and then obviously the jungle raid. But this is for like lower level people. Um, if not, you could always, if you happen to be in one of those servers, say if there's a group of people running Infinite Desert and they're all able to get the higher waves, you could farm Infinite Desert. Or if you're willing to do it repeatedly, Infinite Desert gives you a decent chunk of XP. So for somebody who's like starting out like level 0, Infinite Desert would definitely give you like quite a bit of levels at least. But that's it for that little portion. Um, Basically all I came to talk about in this video was just about how to get levels easily. Um, if you're ever not sure about what entirely, um, like about your quest progression, because obviously for me, I still have this one and I have world bosses. Um, Once you reach specific levels, if it starts to, I mean, obviously some of these are pretty high level, but for talent wise, like, um, once you eventually get to a certain point, some of these are more beneficial. Like for things like this, if you get to a point where you get to level 300, right, and you're getting where some of these bosses are getting a little too hard for you, blood weapon is the 100% the better choice to go because you can always get damage credit. So for like say, for once you're at a point where you can do the jungle raid, but you don't do enough damage obviously to the boss, so where you can't get enough credit, just if you manage to get to level 300, I would use blood weapon, because then you get that, you get the damage credit in order to basically kill the boss, so you can still get credit for the quests and then potentially credit to Arise the shadow, or to get his relic. So that's just what I would do personally if I was at that standpoint. That's what I did at first, was using blood weapon because I wasn't doing enough damage to the boss, and I managed to get like 6 runs in using blood weapon, so it's not bad. And then once you're able to do enough damage, you don't really need to rely on it. So that's just my tidbits of stuff I would do. So if that's just how I would spend most of my time getting levels. But that'll be it for this. There probably are better ways to go about it, but that's just how I personally did it. So we'll just leave it there. I'll talk to you on the next one. See you in the next video.